He left her for money, but karma never misses. The first time Sophia saw Ryan, he was leaning against the rusted railing of the old warehouse rooftop in downtown Pittsburgh, sketching the jagged skyline as the sun bled orange across the Allegheny River. His fingers were smudged with graphite, and his hoodie hung loose over his lean frame. He looked like a street poet who had wandered out of a Springsteen song, quiet, restless, and completely unaware of the city grime clinging to his sneakers. Sophia was 22, a creative writing major at the local community college, and she had come to the warehouse because her aunt swore the family's old photo albums were stored in the basement. She found Ryan instead. He turned when her shadow crossed his page, and for a moment, neither spoke. Then he grinned, a crooked thing that made her pulse skip. "You're trespassing," she said, aiming for authority. "I was invited by the skyline," he replied, tapping his sketchbook. "It pays better than rent." She laughed before she could help it. That was the start. They met every Tuesday after that. Sophia brought thermos coffee and bagels wrapped in foil. Ryan brought stories of Philly's underground art scenes, of the professor who kicked him out for spray painting a mural of a faceless woman on the lecture hall wall, of his dream to exhibit in Manhattan's gleaming galleries. He talked with his hands, tracing invisible lines in the air, and Sophia listened like his words were the only warmth in the February chill. By the time spring arrived, they were in love. Not the movie kind with swelling soundtracks and slow-motion rain, but the stubborn, everyday kind. Shared earbuds on the bus, her editing his artist statements, him teaching her to blend raw umber with cadmium yellow until the canvas pulsed like a bruise. When Ryan's dad died of a heart attack, Sophia held him while he cried into her scarf, his tears soaking the knit she had made herself.
2 years later, he proposed on the banks of the Monongahela, under a sky so star-drenched it looked staged. He had no ring, only a graphite drawing of her face, creased from being folded in his wallet for months. "Marry me, Sophia," he said. "I'll build you a loft with windows that open to every sunrise." She said yes before he finished. But dreams, like graphite sketches, smudge easily. Ryan's big break came through a man named Victor Lang, a Pittsburgh gallery owner with a knack for spotting gritty talent and polishing it for New York buyers. Victor saw Ryan's work at a pop-up show, moody canvases of Rust Belt, women with hollow eyes and mouths stitched shut with gold leaf, and offered him a solo exhibition. The catch: Ryan had to move to Manhattan immediately. No time for weddings, no time for goodbyes. Sophia understood. Art was Ryan's native tongue, the one he spoke fluently while fumbling over grocery lists and future plans. She packed his duffel herself, pressing her favorite scarf into his hands. "Call me every night," she said. He kissed her forehead. Every night. The calls lasted 3 weeks. Then every other night. Then once a week. Then nothing. When Sophia finally took the Greyhound to Manhattan, she found Ryan in a loft in Soho, sipping craft whiskey with a woman whose boots cost more than Sophia's rent for a year. The woman, Leela Lang, Victor's daughter, had cheekbones sharp, enough to slice glass, and a laugh like shattering crystal. Ryan's eyes widened when he saw Sophia in the doorway, her coat damp from the rain, her hair escaping its braid. "Sophia," he said, standing too fast. "You should have texted." "I did," she said quietly. You stopped replying. Leela's gaze swept over Sophia like she was a coffee stain on the hardwood. "Darling, is this the Steeltown Muse you mentioned?" Ryan flinched. "Lila, don't." But Lila was already extending a manicured hand. "Charmed. Ryan's told me all about your little love story. So rustic." Sophia ignored the hand. She looked at Ryan, at the designer shirt that cost more than his old sketch pads, at the silver watch glinting on his wrist, and felt something inside her harden. "I came to return this," she said, pulling the graphite portrait from her bag. She tore it in half, then quarters, letting the pieces drift to the floor like dead leaves. "You don't need it anymore." She left before he could stop her. On the bus ride home, she didn't cry. She stared out at the passing turnpike and made a promise. She would never again love someone who loved their reflection more than her. Ryan's rise was meteoric. His first show sold out in 37 minutes. Critics called him the voice of forgotten women, which was rich considering he had forgotten the one woman who had ever truly seen him. Lila became his manager, his muse, his fiancée. She rebranded him, new wardrobe, new accent, new backstory that erased the warehouse, rooftop, and the girl with the thermos coffee. Money poured in like the spring floods he used to sketch. Private flights to Miami, champagne-drenched parties in the Hamptons, a penthouse in Tribeca with a view of the Hudson. He painted obsessively, bigger canvases, bolder strokes, women with eyes like sinkholes. The more he earned, the less he slept. At night, he dreamed of Sophia's face dissolving into graphite dust. Lila noticed his distraction. "You're dull when you're moody," she said, snapping for another drink. "Paint something that sells." So he did. He painted Lila, nude, reclining on a bed of $100 bills, her mouth open in a silent scream. The piece sold for $3 million to a tech billionaire. Lila framed the check and hung it above their bed. But success is a greedy lover. It demands everything. Back in Pittsburgh, Sophia rebuilt herself brick by brick. She finished her degree, took a job teaching creative writing at a community center, and started writing. Not poetry, those lines belonged to a girl who no longer existed, but short stories about women who survived. Her first collection, The Weight of Silence, was published by a small press in Philadelphia. It didn't make her rich, but it made her known. Teens in her workshops brought her crumpled pages of their own writing, eyes bright with something like hope. She dated carefully. A soft-spoken history teacher who quoted Kerouac. A journalist who brought her flowers from the Strip District. None of them stayed long. They sensed the space Ryan had carved out and never filled. In Manhattan, Ryan's life became a highlight reel. Every night a party, every day an interview. But in the quiet hours, he sat alone, replaying Sophia's last words. "You left me for money." He wondered if money could ever replace the way she used to trace his scars with her fingertips, calling them maps to buried treasure. It couldn't. One November evening in Miami, at Art Basel, Ryan's paintings were selling for millions. Lila clung to his arm, smiling for the cameras. Suddenly, at the entrance, a woman appeared, Sophia. She was different now. Hair shorter, clothes simple but confident. In her hands, her book, The Weight of Silence. Ryan's feet froze. "You're here?" he asked. "I'm here for my book launch," Sophia said. "It's in the same pavilion." Lila looked Sophia up and down. "Who are you?" "No one," Sophia said with a smile. "Just a character from an old story." After the event, Ryan followed Sophia outside. Rain was falling, warm and sudden. "Forgive me," he said. Sophia turned. Her eyes held no tears. "Forgiveness doesn't undo choices, Ryan. What you chose is your truth now." She walked away. Ryan stood in the rain, a statue learning what stone feels like. That night, Lila fought with him. "You're still hung up on that small-town girl?" Ryan said nothing. He packed a bag. 3 months later, the art world buzzed with scandal. Ryan had vanished. His Tribeca penthouse was empty. Lila screamed in interviews about artistic betrayal. The paintings stopped selling. Ryan was spotted in Pittsburgh, painting murals on abandoned factories, unsigned, raw, aching. He slept in a studio above a dive bar, eating ramen and regret. Sophia heard the rumors. She didn't go looking. One spring afternoon, she was at the community center, reading to her students. A new mural had appeared on the wall outside, The Weight of Silence. A woman with Sophia's eyes holding a book that bled light. She knew who painted it. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She turned back to her class and kept reading. Years later, Ryan's name faded from the galleries. Lila married a hedge fund heir. Sophia's third book won a Penn Award. She bought a small house with windows that opened to every sunrise. One morning, a package arrived. Inside, a single canvas. A woman standing by a river, her back to the viewer, hair catching the wind. On the back, in graphite, "For the map I lost. I'm still following it home." Sophia hung it in her studio, facing the wall. Karma, after all, never misses.